Why did you keep Chainsmoker as a name?
It's not a good story.
I'm not the original Chainsmoker. The Chainsmokers was started by Alex and this kid named Rhett.
Have you guys played in any Indian wedding?
Did the Ambani wedding a few years ago. That was probably the coolest wedding I've ever been to. I mean, I respect the kind of culture you guys have here.
Star from Indian movie scene, who you want to collaborate
Who was like
with?
guy in Triple R that was like the hot dude, the military one? You
Ram
know?
Charan.
Yeah.
You want to collaborate with Ram Charan?
That's whole movie was unbelievable.
You did songs with Priyanka Chopra.
That's technically our first song.
She's such an amazing person. You know,
Yeah,
she has
yeah.
this like aura around her.
How does a life change after a viral song?
Our first viral song was Selfie.
All of my friends had like jobs in finance and lawyers and doctors, and I was like a art gallery receptionist, no future, no savings. And when we wrote this song and like we got our first record deal, and I was like, I can pay my rent for like 2 years. That was a huge moment.
I was reading an article which said that an average marriage in US lasts for 5 years.
In every relationship, one person that loves the other person more, and it's more successful if the guy's more in love with the girl and the girl's in love with the guy, and that probably leads to a successful relationship.
Today's episode is a special one because we have one of the most loved and admired international music bands, Chainsmokers. They have made songs like Closer and Don't Let Me Down, which have raged around the world and in India as well. In this episode, we talked about why they named their band Chainsmokers, how their music got viral, the backstory of how they collaborated with Coldplay, their experience of working with Priyanka Chopra, and which Bollywood actor they want to work with next. In fact, their first track ever was with a Bollywood actor. This is one of the most candid and fun episodes we've had on Figuring Out. So don't forget to share this episode with your friends and all the music lovers in your life to lighten up their mood and get to know the journey of one of the best international bands in the world. Before you start this episode, go subscribe Raj Shamani Clips and Raj Shamani Shorts channel, because there we put out small clips in less time so that you can become a better leader in just short amount of time. Enjoy. I want to know, very basic question probably that must have gotten asked by like 10,000 people. Why Chainsmokers? Like, what does this name mean? Why did you keep Chainsmoker as a name?
It's not a good story.
Were you guys Chainsmokers? That's why you kept it?
Yeah, I smoked cigarettes and weed, and it wasn't really like a long thought drawn out process of just deliberation. It was like, I think it was more important to just like start doing things than worry about the name. I think, names can be important, but I think probably if you look back over time, like some names are like spot on. You're like, oh, well, that was just, a great name right off the bat. But then I would say majority of names become good names just based on the quality of whatever, whatever it is they do. So, yeah,
Oh, you just kept it, right?
Yeah, just kept it.
So a follow-up question on that. Why do you think every artist, or let's say not every, majority of artists, they have a stage name different than their old names? Like it's Alex and Drew, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we just
why
call ourselves
Chainsmokers? Yeah, why don't you call Alex and Drew? Everybody has their own names.
That would have been really awkward because I'm not the original Chainsmoker. The Chainsmokers was started by Alex and this kid named Rhett, and then Rhett went to go do his solo project. So that would have been awkward. It just would have been like, it's Alex and Rhett. No, it's just Alex. No, it's now Alex and Drew. It's a lot of rebranding that, just having a name. People come in and out of bands all the time.
I don't think you see that in music either. I can't think of any musical act other than like even like Simon and Garfunkel, I guess. But like Paul and Taggart.
Paul and Taggart sounds like a construction company.
Yeah.
I think in like TV and film and TV shows, that makes more sense.
But why is this trend? Like I often find it difficult because there are solo people, solo acts, individual person, even they have a stage name.
Yeah.
Their real name is something else, like Eminem, right?
Marshall. I mean, sometimes their names just suck or they like hate it. You know what I mean? Like, there's a ton of great artists that you're like, oh, that's the last name. And
well, also like being an artist, like it's a character that you put on. It's an act that you kind of get to be, and I think it's easier to have, to keep your personal name for yourself.
Really?
Yeah, for sure.
So in the world of, let's say, SEOs, personal brands, personal Instagram accounts, don't you think it's better to have it by your own name so that everywhere people can just search one thing?
I don't think artists think about like optimization when they get into music in the first place. So
if you would have kept your real names, 10,000 copies can come. And then you can't sue
there's
them.
Alex and Drews everywhere.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's why I thought maybe artists do this from this point of view, that they can trademark something and their whole life depends on this.
No,
one
I think it's the opposite.
name.
I think artists forget that point, and then they go to trademark it and realize that it's like,
Oh, it's gone already.
yeah, it's gone already. I mean, I see this happen with startups too. They're like, oh, I'm this. And I'm like, pretty sure that is taken, by a number of different companies and different things. I mean, I think that like more interesting conversation around this is the people that buy like website domains.
Yeah.
In anticipation of
that these guys will become big and then they'll come to me to buy.
Yeah. I mean, if you could have bought like all of the AI domains, just artificial intelligence at .com, AI.com, but just like going to
artificialintelligence.com.
yeah, like, and you could make a living off that. I feel like somebody bought what was it? I don't know if it was Elon Musk, but it was like somebody paid like a few $1 million for like X.com.
Yes, Elon Musk.
And so it's like, damn, it just goes to show that there's someone out there being like, I'm anticipating all of these.
Sometimes it doesn't work. Okay, so when this whole Ethereum fiasco became a trend, right? I bought .eth and bought multiple .eth.
What'd you buy?
Like different celebrities, okay? Let's just not name.
Oh, you're one of these guys.
Like a bunch of celebrities.
Yeah, the core demo right here.
I was like,
who'd
no,
you buy?
fuck. It didn't end up becoming
Who'd you
like.
buy?
Did you buy the Chainsmokers.e?
No.
I think we own that.
Yeah,
too.
You own that already? Yeah. So
That's
I bought
crazy.
all of them. And then the ETH fiasco didn't become real. I was like, fuck it.
I mean, there's still
Damn.
time. There's still time.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
That's what you get for that sinister move.
Yeah. But
I
feel
tried that.
No, I think I don't think the guy who bought X.com
Thought it was going to be Twitter.
Yeah, it was going to be like Twitter. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
It's like, I'm dealing with Elon Musk now. This is way above the level of person that I thought I was going to do with X.com.
It takes some time to harvest.
Oh, you guys played in a wedding in India?
Yeah, we went to
You were there in
Udaipur.
Uday Kotak's son's
Was that?
wedding, right?
Yes.
Jay Kotak's wedding,
yeah.
right? How was it?
It was
been-
great.
you know.
Jay had been to like 16 Chainsmokers shows, which was amazing.
Betty paid Kygo though.
He can afford to do that.
It was really fun. Great friends, awesome family. I mean, we weren't there for I think it was this first or second day of it. It was like a 12-day event. And we went back to the US, moved on with our lives. And every day for the next 2 weeks, I was like, this wedding's still going on. And it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So
Have you guys played in any other Indian wedding?
did the Ambani wedding a few years ago
Not the actual wedding.
In Udaipur.
in Switzerland.
And
They
okay.
did I think a pre-wedding thing in Switzerland.
Yeah. Not the one Rihanna was at, not the recent
Okay.
one.
Not the recent one.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the other one.
It was amazing. That was probably the coolest wedding
Wild.
I've ever been to.
Have you seen in any other culture apart from India, do they have fascinating weddings or it's just India?
Well, U.S. has some really fascinating ones if you want to zoom in on the microcosms of some of the weird shit that Americans do for weddings. I don't know. I think every family, I feel like it's more of a family thing than maybe a cultural thing. Maybe in India that's not the case. In the U.S., some people love big, grand weddings and it's a celebration of a really important thing. So I think it really depends on if your parents are still together or not. If your parents have been divorced for 20 years, they hate each other. Let's not spend all of our money on this wedding and let's see how it goes. And then there's families that are really take an immense amount of pride in the fact that they're still together and this is a really big moment for people to join together for the rest of their lives.
If you get married, will you have a big wedding? A secret wedding? What kind of wedding do you think you'll go for?
I had a thought about this the other day and I was leaning towards just fucking doing it and just not real easy. Maybe a party after the fact that's hey, everyone can come to this thing and we'll celebrate it. We can do some of the traditional things, but just really expensive and really
time consuming.
Time consuming. The planning, the planning part of that. I'm watching this reality show.
The guest list, I think, is the scariest part.
Yeah.
It's just like a waterfall. You start to invite, you try to keep it small, but then you've excluded someone you can, and then you invite them, and you have to invite that person, and then you're like,
Fuck. I was reading an article which said that an average marriage in US lasts for 5 years. An average relationship between a fund manager or an investor and a founder lasts for 7 years.
Oh, I thought that was going to be another sexual thing.
No.
I'm glad it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
mean, those things last longer than most marriages.
Yeah.
That's
so
an expression I've used.
in India, it's pretty bizarre. Like in India, like marriages last much longer.
Yeah, I mean, I respect the kind of culture you guys have here. I mean, I don't know how the arranged
Do you think it's
marriage
because
thing
the
works.
weddings last longer? No, maybe.
No.
Have you done like the math on that?
No,
But there's a
I
crazy
wish.
correlation between how much effort was put into the wedding.
No, I wish. I think there was another article in India which said people who spend less on wedding last longer in wedding
so
than
it's the
people who spend
opposite.
really large. Yeah.
How
Hate to
is
see it.
every marriage arranged here or not necessarily?
Not necessarily.
Okay, yeah.
It used to be the case. Majority of them were arranged.
Are those
No,
more
I think not.
successful or less successful?
Arranged marriages are more successful.
Interesting.
Yeah, there was.
Because you have to let down a whole family.
but I
of
also
people
think,
when you
like-
get divorced.
I think a lot of this data is very skewed and it's very.
Yeah.
Like-
Well, someone said the other day that like in every relationship, there's usually one person that loves the other person more. And traditionally, it's more successful if the guy's more in love with the girl and the girl's in love with the guy. And then that kind of makes sense to me in some ways. And like you look at like some couples where you're like, you know, you'll see like a girl, you're like, wow, what's she doing with that guy? You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like in certain cultures, and you're like, but the guy is like, you know, provides maybe some sort of stability or whatever, and he like adores her and worships her, and she's, you know, kind of like, I feel like that's it can't be, balance isn't actually necessarily like a good thing. You kind of want strengths in one side and strengths on the other.
True.
And that probably leads to some sort of like, you know, stronger kind of balance alliance for a longer successful relationship. I don't know.
Okay, coming back to the Chainsmokers. One of the things that you guys did in India, in my eyes, right? You made Range Rover really famous.
We made what?
Range Rover really famous.
They
With the-
definitely didn't pay us.
Yeah, why did they? I thought it was like
In fact, they were like almost a I feel like they were like,
Very dismissive.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Guys,
I don't know. If
Kind
we
of.
reached out to them.
I don't think they even
it
like,
just-
gave us one for the video, remember?
Oh yeah. I guess that's true.
Okay, tell me the process of film.
We did want a Range Rover for the video, and we just couldn't even get a Range Rover, not to even have, just to put in the video.
and they didn't give you.
Nah,
Shit.
stop answering my calls. Yeah.
So tell me about Closer. How that was your first viral song?
Our first viral song was a song called Selfie.
Yeah.
You just knew that, didn't
Yeah,
you?
I knew. I just wanted to make it up. Okay.
Yeah.
So how does a
So
life
now that
Gee.
I know that you know that I know that you know it was Selfie.
But how does a life change after a viral song? Like, tell me about what's the life before a viral song.
Selfie song that kind of sound like this Melbourne bounce trend that was in at the time, that we were just kind of like messing around and thought it would be a funny thing that maybe the internet would like. And it went like super viral and everyone thought it was funny for like a little while, and then it was played on the radio ad nauseum, and that was really annoying. And then that song was bigger than the Chainsmokers. So it was a very just weird quandary deciding if we embrace this moment, if we ignore it. And we decided that, you know, we thought if we just kind of embraced it, even though it didn't really represent who we wanted to be as artists, that, you know, eventually it would, you know, be a lighthouse for new fans. And then they would still be looking at us when we showed them what other stuff we actually wanted to do. So that definitely worked. I mean, it worked a little, like, I mean,
We went too far.
yeah. Yeah, there are a bunch of things around Selfie that I really wish we could take back. But there are, I do think, I was like, do you think that was if we hadn't had Selfie, it would have been better?
No.
We needed to, it was a necessary
Yeah.
evil.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that song was great.
And it's now back. And now TikTok
Nice.
is like discovering it for the first time.
I personally, speaking for myself, like was just absolutely riddled with anxiety. All of my friends had like, you know, real jobs in finance and lawyers and doctors and different things. And I was like art gallery receptionist that like DJ'd at night, you know, like no future, no savings. I had debt, no real like anything promising for the future. And when we wrote this song and like we got our first record deal and publishing deal, which were like it wasn't like forever money by any stretch, especially in today's world. But it was like, holy shit. I remember being in the shower specifically after we just got the news. And I was like, I can pay my rent for like 2 years and not worry about rent. You know what I mean? And it was like, was like a crazy thought to me, because like every month was like, I got it, but like shit, like I'm gonna have to eat McDonald's dollar menu for the first 2 weeks, and definitely no dates, and definitely like very few nights out having fun, and so that was like a really cool moment to be like, oh, you know,
finally,
what I mean? Those things, that was a huge moment.
Interesting. I want to talk about another song that was with Coldplay. Tell me the story about it, because I'm a big Coldplay fan and I'm a big Chainsmokers fan. So I'm like, okay, I want to know the story behind it. That was the first question. The moment I got your confirmation that you guys are coming here, I was like, this is what I want to ask. So tell me about, how did that happen? When did the seed of partnering with Coldplay started? What was the story behind something just like this?
It happened in 2016 or 17, and probably 17. And we had like a series of hits. Closer was currently out and doing its thing. And, I think, they had heard of that song or some of the other ones before it, and we're fucking with it. And I guess our management was always kind of like, yo, like the Coldplay guys like your stuff, and we were like, get fucked. Like there's no chance that they've heard this. Like, we're from the dance music scene, and that's like too big of a dream to get excited about if it doesn't happen, And our manager would be like, I'm talking to their manager, like they want to come and hang with you guys. And we're like, all right, man, you just like, whatever, let me know. And then one day we're like, I think he was like, 3 days from now, like, you got to go to Malibu, cancel all your plans. Chris is going to meet you guys in the studio. And we completely freaked out. We dropped everything, went to Malibu. Worked at this beautiful studio called the Woodshed, which was, it's like this beautiful wood shed looking over the ocean, and which is 100 times nicer than any studio we've ever worked in. And I think we were just enamored by the experience at first. Chris came in, we made a little bit of small talk, but we're also like, oh my God, it's him, and he talks like him, and he looks like him, it's him. And that was wild. And we got into writing a song pretty quickly. I think he started by giving us some spiritual advice.
What was that advice?
He brought us this he brought us both these gifts that were like a card that had like a memento to think about during the day. So you'd pull a card and put one there every day. I think that was the gift. And so we did that. We were talking about, made a little bit of small talk, but I remember getting to work pretty quickly. And also it's like us, we've produced together in a small bedroom or, dark studio where there's no sunlight. And now you're in this beautiful place with one of the most legendary songwriters of all time. How do you do your fucking thing with this guy? Because it's intimidating. You're trying to feel, with any artist, you're always trying to feel out the room, like what's the thing that will get them going? How can we supplement that? We always try to kind of be the jack of all trades a little bit in any session that we're in. And we played some chords that, Chris was into, and he ended up writing something that was like pretty cool and catchy. I wish I could figure out where it was now, because it wasn't something just like this. And, we kind of like burnt out after a couple hours, and he was like, I have to go pick up my kids from school. Do you guys want to keep working on this idea? I'll come back. So he left for like 2.5 hours, 3 hours, and came back, and it was kind of like the moment had passed. It was the end of the day. It was about to be nighttime. He has a family. So we were like, all right, I think we like missed the window here. Yeah. And, we were like eating dinner, and he's like, well, I'll hang out for a little bit. And, we called an Uber, but, this time in Malibu, Uber took a while to get to Malibu. And so we had like a 30-minute wait for Uber. And he was like, I'll wait with you guys. Can you guys play me a couple of records off of the Chainsmokers album, Memories Do Not Open, which hadn't come out yet at the time. And we played him the intro song, which was called The One, and we played him Paris. And we could see when we played Paris, he was just like I think he was thinking, like, he was like, kind of got remotivated and was like, do you have anything else that we could possibly do together? And I opened my laptop, I Hail Married this session that I was kind of like making like part 2 of like a Roses Closer type of baby with 2 seconds, he was like, that's the song. So canceled the Uber. He plugged in a mic. He started dancing around the room, just like mumbling these lyrics, and you're just kind of sitting there playing things, trying to not like break his concentration. And we watched him just mumble the entire first verse, chorus of something just like this. There was no drop at that time, or you know, second verse or whatever, but he just did it all right there really quickly. And you know, eventually we got in the car and we're like, we fucking got one, oh my God. And you know, we didn't know what the song would become, if it would even come out. There's so many things that have to happen after that, but it was a very magical moment. That was one of those times where it was like, holy shit,
it just
this is a great Chainsmokers song. It's a great Coldplay song. Let's get it.
Right.
Yeah.
You did one of these songs with Priyanka Chopra at very early times, right?
Yeah.
Erase. Right. How was it? Like, how did that come? Priyanka Chopra from India.
Random. That's technically our first song.
Yeah,
which is
it shouldn't be.
It kind
not because she's not amazing, but because it's just the most strange.
It was a ridiculous kind of thing that happened. You know, I mean, it happened because before I met Alex, I was interning at Interscope Records, and they had signed. This is like 2011 or 12, and they had signed Priyanka. And I was interning, and my boss, Nick Groff, shout out, he's the man, gave me a lot of looks and was like having me remix songs of hers and songs of other Interscope artists, which was like a huge opportunity for me. And I remember I ended up I got some vocal for the Erase song, and they were like, the production's not right, can you make a new production? So I made that production. And everyone liked it, and so it kind of sat with them. And then when all this was going down, I met Alex and joined Chainsmokers, and then we kind of started doing our thing, and then we like had that song, and we just decided to make it the first Chainsmokers song. But it was like
the first Chainsmokers song.
Before we even had like a sound or any following, it was like, this is it. and so that exists.
We didn't meet her for like
a long
8 years after, like never spoke to, didn't talk, you know, like, and then I think at like some restaurant in LA.
We met her at Nice Guy.
She was like there, we're like, you know, and she's such a nice, amazing person, but you know, she's got a lot of like, she looks like a star, you know, and she has this like aura around her. So it was like nerve wracking to go up and be like, hey, like, I don't even know if you know this. You know what I mean? Like, but we had a song together, and she was like, oh my God, like, I've been like, you know, kind of hoping to run into you guys, meet you at some point. And she was super sweet, and it was kind of funny, you know, 8 years later. That's the music business for you.
Which one is one of the best festivals you guys have played on?
Honestly, the festivals in India are really great. I'm not even bullshitting you. Like the crowds.
Which one?
Goa, Sunburn was amazing.
Yeah.
Like pretty much all the shows that we did. We played a university show here once.
Yeah, in Pune.
Yeah.
University show.
Yeah, that was huge. Yeah. And like, it's just, to us, like, the crowd is really what matters. You know, like, obviously it's really cool and the stage is huge and they have all sorts of interesting things that make it look great. But like, I could care if you just stuck us on a stage with nothing and you had, you know, a crowd like you usually do in India, like, you'd walk off being like, that was one of the most epic shows ever.
Do you want to collaborate with any Indian artist anytime soon? Who's gonna be the dream Indian artist to collaborate with?
Who are like the newer Indian artists that are really exciting?
King, if you have heard of.
For us, when we approach collaborations, it has to be this like fusion of our two worlds. Like, we don't like, and this isn't to say that he does this or anything or any other artist does this, but like, nothing's worse than just like jumping on something that's hot and being like, yeah, here's a beat, you do whatever you want on it. Now we have a song in India, hopefully it's big and we make more fans and we make more money and da-da-da. Like, the music for us is like very sacred. Like, it has to be an awesome record. Like, you know, we got lucky with Coldplay.
So here's a question on this. Like, who's the Bollywood artist or who's the some star from Indian movie scene who you want to collaborate with?
Who was like guy in Triple R that was like the hot dude?
Dude, I don't know.
Like
this is you have put me in such a dilemma. I don't know which one to call hot. Like, they both have massive cult following.
Okay, the less goofy one, the more the military one. The guy,
Ram Charan.
Yeah.
You want to collaborate with Ram Charan?
Dude, he was a man. I mean, that's whole movie was unbelievable,
dude.
I maybe actually like want to like go dive deep. I need someone to like recommend ones, because like I'm not gonna figure this. It's like anime, you know. You need someone that's like a fan to be like, if you like this, then like watch these 5.
What's a good, if you're like a very nascent fan of Bollywood action and you've just seen Triple R, what's the next movie you should see?
Whoa, have you seen Bahubali?
No.
Guys, you need to watch that.
Yeah.
It came before that, but it's massive.
It's at the stage.
It's that stage. Like, you'll love it. It's like Game of Thrones on steroids in India.
Whoa. Right. I'm into it. I was on.
We're all watching.
Yeah. I was on the plane the other day and I was watching my movie, but the seat across from me, in front of me, was watching a Bollywood movie, and I ended up just watching their Bollywood movie in silence. And I was just like entranced by the the dancing and the scenes and the colors and the choreography. It's very, 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 very impressive.
I like this mindset though. Like, it's more about the music, less about the artist you want to collaborate with. And why did you guys start this? Like, why all of a sudden from music to venture capital, whole different game?
Yeah, it was a natural progression. We've been pretty avid investors privately for a long time. As soon as we made a little bit of money, it was a passion of ours. And through music, we ended up meeting a lot of kind of like the 2014 to 16 class of entrepreneurs that were starting to really have success, like the founder of Dropbox and Airbnb and CEO of Y Combinator at the time. Became good friends of ours and kind of opened our eyes up to deeper tech investing. And so we started getting involved a lot personally and realized that it was a more natural extension of kind of the hospitality side of our business, which is a huge thing in everything that we do, and getting to know these people, showing them unique experiences, making connections that, setting up an environment where connections could be made where they otherwise couldn't be. So that was kind of like the first foray into it, and it's morphed into a much bigger business that we're obsessed with.
Tell me which one personally and through the fund has been your biggest bet, or I would say the most fruitful bet till now?
I mean, it's early to say. We invest in super early stage ventures. So these are seed stage companies that are just getting started. It's if you're successful, it's the get rich slow business. And so there are companies that are killing it, and there's hurdles that we they can't see, we can't see ahead of them, that we just have to be on their team and help them.
What's this whole scene about probiotics? Like, why is it becoming super cool in
like the
US?
Whole gut health thing.
At CVS, the last time I was in US, I saw this whole shelf with probiotics, and there was one thing which was insane to me. And then the lady there, she told me that it's selling like hotcake. The product was vaginal probiotic. And
I've used that. It's good stuff.
So this is like, I was shocked, like, what is going on? Why there's a probiotic for everything and everybody is...
I don't know.
Is it range in US?
I mean, it's interesting to hear you say that, because I feel like I am very specifically targeted by like gut and liver health ads. And I don't know if like Instagram or TikTok knows that I'm a DJ and I probably need that. But like, I mean, I think as far as our thesis goes in Poppy, and it's a prebiotic soda. Which apparently you need prebiotics and probiotics. Clearly, like, that's not the foundation that we made this investment on. We just like the soda and tasted amazing, had very low sugar content. So, but yeah, the whole like gut health movement in the US, I'm not really sure. The US is always trending on some kind of health thing though. So this is what's happening now.
I mean, I feel like if you look back in time, like was absolutely nothing. Like we were smoking cigarettes everywhere. Like I was just on the plane here, and there was like a cigarette ashtray in the bathroom, and I was like, "This is so funny that this used to exist." Like I could just be sitting on the toilet in the bathroom, smoking a cigarette as I fly across the Pacific Ocean. And I think obviously, like in the last call it even 10 years, there's been like a huge shift in focus to like self-health. And I think that's like a result of technology and all of the information now that we have, that we can ascertain whether it's like your mattress telling you stuff, or your Oura Ring, or your Whoop Band, or all these different things. And I think people understand now that you kind of have to take care of yourself on some level, and you could live longer. And obviously, like the human age, we're living much longer than we have in the past. I know there's like a lot of friends of ours that are working on like longevity solutions,
biohacking and stuff.
Yeah, crazy things. And so, I think it's like an appealing thing more broadly, but obviously like nothing's been more impactful than like Ozempic and Wegovy and these different drugs that have come out recently because, and also I think generally speaking, the world is smaller. Like you're looking online, you're seeing what other people are doing, you kind of are just isolated in your own world. And now it's like there's, I'm one of those like mind over matter people. So like it's scary to go to the doctor and find out the truth of things sometimes. But, it like, I think, I have a drawer in my house that like it has all of these vitamins from like all of my ex-girlfriends. And every time like the girl opens it, they're like, oh my God, wow, like this is really impressive. And I'm just like, I don't know what any of this shit is. But like, you know what I mean? You kind of, everyone's in on it. And it's a huge business too. I mean, it's just like anything in the past. Like we're selling the dream of health, and people are like, I drink this every morning and I feel so much smarter. And I'm just like, you're so full of shit.
Yeah, it's
like,
placebo.
But if the placebo effect has like gives results, then who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
If you do feel better that day, then all right.
Of course, it's one of those beauty creams. Now, just we're taking it from the
100%.
It's just oral take, not
that's the other thing too. I mean, like it coupled with, we live in LA, which is like plastic surgery capital of the world. So like you couple like if we're living longer and we care more about our health and we're having kids later. I mean, you mentioned Ozempic and like IVF too. People unable like us to have kids later or women to have kids later. All these great things. I mean, we're just adjusting for a longer timeline. So you want to look at all of these. All my friends are getting hair transplants now. It's like
it's
no one. The guys didn't care about
receding hairline
before, and now they know about it, and everyone's faces on Instagram all the time and TikTok, and they're like, wow, they start to care about things that they didn't 10, 20 years ago.
You think this is a real thing? Like this trend is going to last for long? Do you think there's an opportunity? The health, the gut health, liver health.
I think
or
health
like this
in general,
tracking of data and stuff.
I think it's only become more and more pervasive. I mean, if you think
do you think there's an opportunity?
I think when AI begins to really like become even more impactful in our daily lives, like that will probably like literally be like you need to eat one of three things for lunch right now, and these are your best suggestions based on like what your blood pressure is and what we're eating and your sugar levels. And it's like you're gonna have a co-pilot basically like trying to tell you what is the optimal thing for you. Like you need to run 10,000 more steps today, to reach your, it's going to be really annoying.
It is going to be annoying.
Really annoying. But I do think that is like the future, and people, it's addictive. I think there's like a fine line where I've seen people use the bands and then they've removed them eventually because it can kind of drive you crazy.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, like, you want to have at least the opportunity to like understand what these things are.
Do you guys know about the Bluezones?
No.
Oh, you don't know about the Bluezones? So there are like I think 6 or 7 blue zones in the world.
Oh, where like these people live abnormally longer. Yeah.
So where people live really, really long, and what they found out in specifically blue zones, people are really less worried about the tracking of their stuff and then biohacking routine. In fact, there are smokers there, the drink is there. Yeah. They live their life absolutely normal.
I totally agree with that. I mean, I think like I was saying, mind over matter. I think like you can drive yourself crazy and become neurotic and cause problems. I mean, we probably travel more than like anybody on the planet sometimes. And like the other weekend we had like a 4 or 5 day run where like a couple of people that don't normally travel with us came on the road with us, and every single one of them got sick after the trip, like violently sick, and we were totally fine. And it's like, I don't know if that means we've built up like a better immune system or we're just more used to it, but I think there is something to that where, like it's like the same reason why it's good to have a dog when you grow up, because it like puts germs and bacteria on your face that builds like antibodies and resistance to things, versus like growing up in like a perfect bubble where like imagine like if you grew up with like no diseases at all around you and then like somehow the common cold got into this, like that would be like the plague, so I think there's like I agree with that on some levels. And like those smokers that are like smoked a pack every day, I don't think everyone can do that, but like they're just enjoying their life and their cigarettes.
You said you guys travel a lot. How much? Like give me a number of flights you take in a year.
I mean,
How much do you guys travel?
I mean, we do like 120 shows per year, so there's at least like
that's
2 flights per show.
So it's like
Sometimes more. And then you have a weekend like this where, you know, we flew yesterday from LA to Hong Kong to Mumbai. Tonight after our show, we fly to Hong Kong, and then we drive 2 hours to the show. We drive back. The next day we fly to Thailand. That night we fly back to Hong Kong and then back to the US. So we'll be back in LA by Monday.
So you guys travel like
A lot.
Yeah, a lot.
almost like every third day you're traveling. If it's 120.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So it's like
It's hectic.
sick.
Yeah.
So
you
that's
ever
your
see
biggest.
that video of Elon Musk's jet tracker?
No.
I don't know like what year this was, but it's like obviously
So it was last year, I think.
Yeah, it's just like a map of Elon's jet and how he travels
yeah.
every day.
On Twitter it was trending.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, and it's just like nuts. And I was like, God, I wish we had that. Like, I mean, he flies private, so he might beat us out because he could just be like, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, it feels different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels a little different. But
You guys, when are you planning to buy your jet?
Not soon.
No.
if you guys want to listen, if you listeners want to start sending us some money,
We start a crowdsourcing
A
thing
GoFundMe,
right now.
GoFundMe for us.
Yeah,
we can
I agree.
split it, all of us. But yeah, we're frugal people. Yeah.
Sure.
No.
You guys are frugal? Really?
Yeah,
You don't
very.
own anything expensive? Come on. Okay, what's the most expensive thing personally you have bought, and what's the most expensive thing you've bought?
Probably like
Besides our house.
Apart from house. A car, a watch, a jacket, I don't know, some random shit.
We buy a lot of art.
Art.
Yeah.
Okay. What kind? Like the paintings and stuff?
Tons of different stuff, yeah.
I've always
he's-
been a fan of art and like the role it plays in history. You know, it's not something. It's something aesthetic that you can enjoy in your house. It's usually has some sort of meaning or message or something behind it that hopefully you connect with. And you know, it's not something generally very flashy like a car or a watch or something. And it's also one of those things that like people can just pass by and not even pay attention to if they don't, you know, want to dive in deeper and understand it. So I've always been a fan of that sort of thing. And you usually don't buy it to make money. Like we don't buy it not thinking, oh, we'll sell it in a couple of years. You know, you buy it because you collect it. And I think that's like with the best, you know, like Alicia Keys and Swiss Beats are huge collectors, Jay-Z. There's tons of great artists and actors that collect art. And I think those are, you know, I know people collect watches, people collect cars. I think there's so many different levels to it.
You know, I'll tell you one very, I don't know, maybe a controversial thing, but it's pretty cool. So I think one of the startup founders in India runs like, I think a $500 million company or something like that, was here on the show. And he has a classic rags to riches story. He said the highest level of wealth is when people start buying art.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. He said, like, you have so much money that you don't know what to do with it, so you start buying art. Do you
I don't
believe
There's
in
a
that?
bunch of different ways to buy art.
Yeah.
Do you believe in that? Like he said, people who invest in paintings is like the last level of wealth.
Yeah, if you're buying like impressionism.
Yeah.
But we can't afford that. So I mean, you probably have a better answer.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like
do you think that's true? I mean, what if you go to a guy's house and he has like 3 lime green Lamborghinis? Do you think that that's a better example of
yeah.
someone who's like being wasteful of money?
Not wasting. I'm just asking, like, do you think that's the last level of art? That's the last level of wealth?
No, I think buying yachts are the last level of
Oh,
wealth.
yeah. Yeah. Like yacht is, it doesn't make sense. You only buy it for fun.
Yeah, it goes down in value. It's extremely expensive. You use it probably a fraction of the year, and it costs a fucking fortune. Is it cool as hell? Like, absolutely.
Very fun choice.
But like that is, to me, the highest level of wealth is when you start buying yachts. What do you think of the startup scene out here? Because the thing that I think we all struggle with is that the economy is massive, you know, obviously, and it's growing exponentially faster than any country in the world. But like, I think there's 2 problems. First is that most Americans don't understand the culture of India and what works and what doesn't work. Just because something works in the US doesn't necessarily translate here. And then the other thing is, I think, like, I've seen this happen in a number of different companies. It's just the accounting side. There's like a lot of fuckery.
Yeah, corporate governance issues.
Yeah.
I know.
Governance issue.
Governance issue. That's how you put it.
Yeah.
So I feel, this is my personal opinion. It can be wrong, but based on my analysis of after talking to a bunch of people and seeing it myself and my investments and everything else, right? So what I feel is only two types of startups is going to win in India. One who deals in economies of scale. Like you're so cheap that you can actually go down to 1.4 billion people and build something out of it. So you probably make money on volume, not on per user, what do you call ARPU, right?
It's like GMV.
Exactly. So it's like it's not about maximizing wallet share from one person. It's about taking let's say a cent from you, but then cent from like 1.4 billion people. So I think that's the kind of business which is traditionally always worked in India, including large companies today, 50 years ago, and the startups which are working right now. So I feel it's either that or someone who's dealing with the ultra HNIs in the country.
The what?
Like the ultra high net worth individuals, something which is in the premium luxury market. I don't think somewhere in the middle things are going to work. Because if you look India, primarily the whole market is aspirational led market. So someone sitting in tier 2 city wants to become someone like tier 1. Someone sitting in tier 1 wants to become like an American sitting in New York or LA, right? So they all are looking up to an aspirational economy. So that's why I think a lot of wealth is getting created in India by these 2-3% people. And then these guys are going to start investing. So that top 1% luxury market will win, or the really at the bottom 1.4 billion.
And how do you traditionally reach everyone? Is it like online ads? Is it like word of mouth? Is it through like WhatsApp or
everything works on stages? Everything like it's. I think one of the biggest mistakes which I have seen in startups here, people start with online ads, but then they forget that they need to do something else as well. And they keep trying to do that and the CAC goes higher and higher and higher. So India primarily, if you look at, it's a trust deficient country. Right?
Does like influencer marketing work here?
Yeah. Everything works if your whole brand philosophy relates to, can I gain more trust in the market? So if you primarily look the big guys in the country, right? Whoever has been able to win trust, that company has been able to do multiple things. It's not about merit based, right? In America, if you look at it, it's very meritocratic. Let's say tomorrow, if Apple, who makes phones, is one of the biggest companies, starts selling you vegetables, you'll be like, what the fuck, bro? Do you even know how to source veg? Like, why are you in this business? Apple cannot sell like prime drinks. It's going to be very difficult for them to get into different business. But in India, it's worked completely fine. Have you heard of Tata? Tata is like one of the biggest conglomerates in the country. So have you stayed in Taj hotels?
No.
Okay, so the same company does Taj hotels, sells coffee, sells steel, sells cars, sells salt, sells your apps like 10-minute delivery apps. So they're everywhere, and people trust it. People buy everything from them because they've been able to do the trust. So startups from the beginning who focus not on selling but actually building that trust is going to win.
Gotcha.
I want to know about your first gig ever. What all mistakes did you make? How nervous were you? Like what all went wrong?
Or like our first gig as
gig as Chainsmokers when you went live. How nervous were you? What all went wrong? Like tell me the first
so we
time.
played there's this group called Time Flies that was like a pretty popular group in the US, especially in like colleges and stuff like that. This guy Cal and Rez. And they're great guys. Cal especially was keep in touch with, and they were playing this venue in New York called Terminal 5, which is this, probably like 4,000 cap room. That's like, was a pretty iconic venue, especially at our size. You know what I mean? It was like up there. And they were like, well, we sold it out, but if you guys want to come and open up like for 15 minutes or something, like we're happy to let you do that. And that was unbelievable.
That was the best 15 minutes of my life at the time.
Yeah. And so we like prepared this 15-minute set of like edits and different things. I think we had like one original
Yeah, no,
type-ish song.
That wasn't the point of it.
And you know, but it was sold out. Like we sold no tickets. Like they did all of the work, but we got a taste of what it was like to play
in front of people.
In front of 3,000 people, like that were like raging. And it was like unbelievable feeling. And then, you know, we got off stage just like so pumped up. But then we had a second show that night at a nightclub that was like downtown in New York called Whip. And, you know, unfortunately the night before, and maybe you guys remember this, but like Drake and Chris Brown got into this big fight where their beef started.
Yeah.
And so we were playing the night after that. But that night the cops had come and they raided it and it was this whole thing. So when we got there, it was like basically shut down. And so they were like, we went on and there was like 16 people there. And we were just like playing for like 2 hours for like nobody.
Yeah.
And so to go from like the highest high to like the lowest low is like kind of a trend that has like followed us throughout our career, where like something terrible happens and then something amazing happens and something amazing happens and something terrible happens, or like a humbling experience or some sort seems to be the trend in our career. But it was like, you know, a really cool moment because I think that gave us enough of a taste of like what could possibly be, and then also kept us grounded in the fact that like we were still nobodies. So it was an interesting experience.
But thank you so much, guys, for being here. Thank you so much for watching this episode till the end. Please let us know, do you want to see more international acts and international guests on the show? Because we want to go global, but do you want to see these global acts coming and talking about what do they think about our country? How are they growing their culture with our country, and how important India has become for them in recent times? We will be covering all these conversations, but do you want to see those conversations or no? Please let us know. And if yes, then in comments, let us know which are the top guests that you want to see on Figuring Out from the world. I'll see you next time. Until then, keep figuring out.